Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. We've got a lot going on because Reconstruction has just started and will be on for 12 years. But first things first, I can pull the armed forces in and get an 100% righteous government, so we're going to do that. We're going to see how long this lasts. But for the moment, everything's coming up. President Webster. President Daniel Webster. Incredible. So, we got the Reconstruction, we got the secession, we got the equality, and we got the Wild West. So let's go through those one by one. First, Reconstruction. Rebuild the nation after the divisive Civil War. With the Civil War behind us, now is the time for former secessionist states to be reintegrated into the Union. Will complete if reconstruct the formerly rebellious states. This does not really explain itself. If completed, triggers the nation reconstructed. If time runs out, triggers the nation reconstructed. So, this is not a very transparent journal entry. I think we'll get more information as the time goes on. So first, readmit the secessionist states. Bringing the former secessionist states back into the fold as fully fledged incorporated states once more. Readmitting the rebellious states back into the Union is essential for restoring the shaken spirit of the nation, and may help establish new power bases for the government. All American states will complete if all American states, and currently 30 out of 41 fulfill this requirement, have at least one, is not an unreconstructed state and is an incorporated state. 20% radicals percent of living decreases. Okay, so at least one of these is not unreconstructed, is at least one of these. Okay, so we need to reincorporate all the unreconstructed states. That's part one. Because 30 states are either incorporated or not unreconstructed, and we need to incorporate all the unreconstructed ones. And then all American states, currently 24 out of 41 fulfill this requirement, have at least one of these. State is not a Dixie homeland. Fraction of loyalist Dixie is not less than 0.2. So we need Dixie loyalists in these states. If completed, Dixie culture remains the primary culture of our nation. Reconstruction progresses towards completion. Alright, so we are going to try to complete this if we can. I don't think this is going to be difficult, but the loyalist percentage is going to be a little rough. Next, equality for all. Create a system that recognizes all men, from the north and south, and black and white, as true equals of this nation of ours. This nation fought a war over deep issues that were papered over for generations until the problem became too big to ignore. We must avoid a repeat of this disaster and tackle the problem head-on, lest they be left to fester for another century. Will complete if Afro-American culture is not discriminated against. If completed, Afro-American culture becomes a primary culture of our nation, and Reconstruction progresses towards completion. Finally, the Wild, Wild West. The western frontier has been set alight by the unrest in the rest of the nation. We must find a way to calm it down. The following must be true for 5 years total, all American states. At least one of these. Devastation is less than 10%, turmoil is less than 10%, or state is not a Yankee or Dixie homeland. If completed, the frontier's outlaw crisis ceases, and Reconstruction progresses towards completion. So overall, we just need to get things to chill out in the nation. I need to redeclare my interest in the Great Plains because I've lost it. And that should allow us to finish colonizing these other areas, or to continue colonizing these other areas. So, I think first things first, we're just going to grab all of our... We have 11 states we need to reincorporate. So, we're going to incorporate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and District of Columbia wasn't incorporated. 12. And that should be fine. That's going to cost us some bureaucracy, but we're doing fine on bureaucracy, so that shouldn't be an issue. Alright, and that's what we're going to do for now. Let's get started here. Path to liberalism completed. Freedom, equality, and brotherhood. The intelligentsia, under the leadership of Henry Clay, has ushered in an era of liberal politics that promises a freer society, where all citizens have a part in the political process. You will find many ideologies who claim to represent the will of the people, but who silence its voice when it cries out in opposition to their policies. Not we. We will remove the people's shackles one by one until they're freed of the yoke of the past. Only then can we see what the will of the people truly is, and let it shape the future. He's a fearless visionary. This adds freedom of trade and freedom of thought to our journal, and gives Henry Clay 50 popularity. I think all of these add freedom of trade and freedom of thought. So that's going to be how that goes. Other political leaders would be wise to follow. Robert Rantoul, the head of the trade unions, becomes a radical. Or perhaps a voice of reason is needed before things get too radical. Seth Wilcox, the head of the yeoman farmers, becomes a reformer. Oh, that is so good. Oh my god, that's great. A voice of reason is definitely needed. Okay, so what this means is that with the yeoman farmers headed up by a reformer, they're actually not going to oppose the shift to cultural exclusion, and here's why that's important. Our currently two primary cultures are Yankee and Dixie. Yankees' traits are Anglophone and European heritage. Dixie's traits are the same. So, why does that matter? It matters because we have significant populations of Afro-Americans. The Afro-American traits are Anglophone and African heritage. So, Afro-Americans are currently discriminated in the United States because the United States' citizenship law is currently racial segregation. Cultures will be accepted based on shares a heritage cultural trait with any primary cultures in the country. Our primaries are both European heritage, so you can only be accepted in America if you've got the European heritage trait. If we can go to cultural exclusion, that allows you to be non-discriminated, to be accepted if you share any cultural trait with any of the primary cultures in the country. And Afro-Americans are Anglophone, which means if we go to cultural exclusion, they will be accepted pops. So that's going to be huge. That's going to allow us to achieve equality for all, which is going to be really, really nice going forward. So, let's take a look again. Now that we've had a few weeks pass, let's take a look again at our economy and see how our trade routes are doing. We don't need to bring in all this tobacco. We don't need to bring in all this fabric. We don't need to bring in these groceries. We don't need to bring in all these guns. We don't need to bring in all this artillery. We certainly don't need to bring in all these guns. And we don't need to bring in this ammunition. And we don't need to bring in this sulfur either. Now, we can definitely... So we should have a huge surplus of, yes, fabric, which we can export. Let's go ahead and export that to France. And we'll send some to Prussia as well. I'm going to swap this over to encourage exports. It's going to make it even easier for us to sell that stuff abroad. Sugar we can export as well. We'll sell some of that to the French. And purchasing quite a bit of luxury furniture. Britain will purchase our luxury furniture for sure. So this is nice. And of our stuff that's expensive, we're actually using quite a bit of oil, which is interesting. We're not exporting iron, are we? We're not. People are buying our iron. But they're buying it because we're producing it. So, you know, that's okay. That's okay. It just means it's going to take... We are going to try to increase our construction sectors, however. But that's contingent on increasing the iron mines. I think at this point, let me take a look at the fertilizer situation once again. Fertilizer's doing actually pretty okay. We're not importing any, so maybe we're actually good to go on that. Maybe we don't need quite so many fertilizer plants. Cut the Indiana by 1. And then how are we doing for paper? We're actually doing pretty alright for paper. Let's go ahead and fix up our... Let me see. Okay, so all of the ones in the south, or at least some of them, swapped over to basic organization. Let's go ahead and enable filing cabinets at least, which is our default. And we got the ones... Apparently Missouri started using the standardized filing system, but let's dial it back on that. We'll stay with philosophy departments of the universities. We do have secular admin because we are a separation of church and state country. And I think for urban we have to have free churches as well. Yes, here we go. So, let's get started with some events. 40 acres and a mule. In the war against the secessionists, many enslaved people believed that once they were freed, they would have the right to own the land that they'd been forced to work on as slaves. People in Louisiana have pressed the issue with local authorities who are turning to us for direction. Land is what we need. I can't feed myself with a ballot box. Give me the plot of land I've been working on so I can feed my family. Authorize a limited redistribution of land. 25% of Dixie upper stratum pops become more radical. 10% of Afro-American pops become more loyalist. +1 standard of living for Afro-American to Louisiana. This might be forever. Or, economic measures are liable to cause trouble. 10% of Afro-American pops become more radical. 25% of Dixie upper stratum pops become more loyalist. So this is Louisiana. Let's take a look at Louisiana here. First of all, Louisiana does have manor houses, and quite a few of them. So Louisiana's upper stratum population is 2.6K. Total population of Louisiana, 309K. So 25% of the upper stratum pops become more radical. That's half a thousand. That's not much, actually. I think I can afford that. What percentage of the upper stratum pops are... Okay, hold on. There's a way I can get this information. There's a census ledger? No. There's like a pop explorer. They added this in 1.7. Or 1.5 rather. Yeah, census data. Here we go. So, I want just Louisiana. I want just aristocrats and capitalists. Wait, hold on. No capitalists. So it's just aristocrats. So of the aristocrats, 1.33K are Cajun. 274 are Afro-American, and only 1K are Dixie. So that's really almost none. I think we're doing it. Gotta get your 40 acres and a mule. Authorize the limited redistribution of land. Shazam. Alright, paramilitary intimidation. Political groups opposed to Reconstruction have organized militant units to intimidate voters in Virginia and restore themselves to power. While I understand that our organization causes consternation among some elements of the population, I can assure you that our bayonets and our rifles are purely for display purposes only. A loyal state government is all that matters. -1 standard of living to Virginia, plus 20% radicals from discrimination. 20% of Dixie Pops become more loyalist. Or horrendous, disband these units at once. -20% radicals from discrimination, -1 standard of living for Afro-American, plus 20% of Dixie Pops become radical. I'm actually going to go with the first one. Because here's the thing. Hold on. Let me look at my loyalists spread here. I need 20% Dixie Pops to be loyalists. I wish it would tell me... Wait a minute, hold on. We'll complete if all American states either are not a Dixie homeland or fraction of loyalist Dixie is more than 0.2. So I actually need the loyalists, the Dixie loyalists. So a loyal state government is all that matters. The Dixie Pops are going to be happy. Alright, show me dedicated police force. 90%. Let's do it. There we go. And we are 73 days to the next step. That'll be very good. Because if we can get this worked out, things will be super duper easy. How is our interests? Our interest is active. So, let's go ahead and start colonizing. That's going to slow down our other colonies, but not that much. We are a little short on engines, so let's import them from Great Britain. One day we'll build our own motor industries, but not right now. So, 120 loyalists in Virginia are pretty high. And has our number gone up for the journal entry? I think yes. I might want to drop taxes back down. I don't want to inhibit growth in the country too much here. Whew. We did a lot of work. Redeemers. A coalition of former Confederates and Confederate sympathizers have won control of the District of Columbia's state government through means fair and foul, threatening the ongoing process of Reconstruction. Draw a line on one side in which you will see intelligence, virtue, self-respect, and democracy. On the other side, the absolute unchecked political supremacy of brute force and terror. And there you will behold not one attribute of free government, but the saddest tyranny of the Old South desperately clawing back power that ever cursed this earth. Reconciliation demands an accord with these men. 10% of Dixie Pops become more loyalist. Arrest these men or install a new government. 10% of Dixie Pops become more radical. So we get 25% reduced pop political strength in D.C. That doesn't matter to me. There's hardly anybody living there, and they're not a state anyway. Or arrest them. So again, this is going to give us 10% Afro-American pops becoming radical. But again, I don't think that's going to be that big of an issue before too long. So again, I'm going to go with the Dixie Loyalists. That gets us 20%. Does that give us 26? All right. 2 down. 15 more to go. Again, I'm just loyalist maxing for Dixie. I think if we lose these Dixie Pops as our hey, we're in voting. Wonderful. I think if we lose if we're not able to complete this process, we lose Dixie as a primary culture. It doesn't I don't know that it actually affects all that much, but it will be a thing. Let's see if we're still... Yeah. Got the Cherokee Pops chilling. And colonization proceeds apace in these areas. How are our armies? 4th American Army can get disbanded and added to someone else's army. 5th American Army, same thing. Dragoons. Why do we have dragoons? Gonna add some regular infantry to the Army of Florida. Not a big deal. And colonization of Florida is complete. We're gonna throw these in at the top so they get done pretty fast. And then we're gonna start incorporating. The Seminole Peace. Our victory in Florida has compelled the Muskogean people to surrender their last refuges to the government. Now is the time to build a new future for these vast lands. They fled deeper into the swamp amongst the marl prairie and the cypress trees. The bluecoats thought they'd all left, but they were wrong. Someday, they hoped, it would be safe to live outside of this sweltering shelter. For now, they lived. The Treaty of Payne's Landing is fulfilled at last. They all moved to Oklahoma. Sad, but it is what it is. The attempt on Webster's life. A sympathizer of the recent rebellion has taken the life of Daniel Webster. Although he was captured after the deed and his co-conspirators were exposed, the death of Webster remains a somber end to this tragic era in American history. Daniel Webster went at the call of duty to the post of danger, and although wrecked, his life is by no means lost. The great blot upon our country, the great stain upon our national character, the great source of strife and contention among our people, by his courage and fortitude, has been wiped out and removed. Daniel Webster's name has become historic. The nation shall mourn this day. Alright, so Daniel Webster has died, and Gregory Rust is the new president. He is the head of the petite bourgeoisie and a pacifist. Interesting. We now have a righteous government. And we are still in the best possible configuration of government. Sorry, Danny. I might finish out my construction queue and then cut back taxes. In fact, I might just cut back taxes. Get us some extra legitimacy. Will get us much larger, hopefully much larger ticking loyalists per, I think, month. This is monthly, right? Or is this weekly? Yeah, this is per month. So I think once we get to the next year, that'll change. On the mode of communication of cholera. The source of the cholera outbreak in New York has been traced by an ingenious surgeon apothecary. This has led to great advancements in the field of public health. The results of the inquiry, then, that there has been no particular outbreak or prevalence of cholera in this part of in this part of New York, except among the persons who were in the habit of drinking the water of the above-mentioned pump well. In consequence of what I said, the handle of the pump well was removed on the following day. We need to keep the filth off the streets. 3.5% progress on modern sewerage. 2% mortality from the cholera epidemic in New York. Our epidemiology is a promising field. 2% mortality. 3.5k progress on pharmaceuticals. Okay, let's take a quick look at the tech tree here. Let's see. Modern sewerage is a prereq of steel frame building. I will need to do that eventually. And then pharmaceuticals unlocks healthcare laws. I think I'm actually going to go with pharmaceuticals. Epidemiology is a promising field. Alright. Woof! Another event. Gunfight at the Corral. Lawmen in West Virginia have engaged in a shootout with several cowboys. The following investigation has revealed that the gunfight was likely due to a personal feud between American marshals and the citizens involved, rather than a pursuit of the law. People are demanding justice against the lawmen. Come on, does anyone else want to try their luck? See this badge? It means I'm in charge. I'm justice. Now get moving. There's nothing to see here. The lawmen are the law, and we cannot stop the law. Minus 5% authority. 5% of pops in West Virginia become more radical. Or recall the marshals from West Virginia temporarily. 25% devastation. Oh, that's brutal. I'm going to have to go with the loss in authority. It is what it is. And that is dedicated police forces. Shabamzo. Now we've got a little bonus to legitimacy from having a more more responsive government, so I can increase taxes back up to medium. How long have we been in the episode? We're at 20 minutes, so we can go for a little bit longer. It's actually only been 6 months, I think. Yeah, it's only been 6 months. We've gotten a lot of events. So what do we want to do now? I'm extremely inclined to immediately... I can't lunge for universal suffrage, unfortunately. But I can do cultural exclusion. So who's going to be upset about this? The petite bourgeoisie. Who's going to be happy about it? Everyone else. The evangelicals are going to be unhappy. So here's what I can do. Who do we have for agitators? Only show available. No one for the petite bourgeoisie. No one for the devout. Alright, so I can't get a radical. I can get Garibaldi. He's a radical. That doesn't affect it. I need a reformer. You're a land reformer. That's not quite the same thing. You're an abolitionist. That doesn't help me. And you're a jingoist. So that's a little bit unfortunate. With that said, I think we can still get where we want to go. We'll have 15%, but I'll be able to do some finaglage on this. In particular, the fact that the armed forces are neutral on it is really, really good for us. So let's go ahead and get started with cultural exclusion. Again, if we can succeed at this, Afro-American pops can become primary pops of the United States, and that's going to be just a huge shot in the arm for us as a nation. And here's why it's going to be really, really good. This is not intuitive, but it actually is it's going to make us really good at imperialism. See, the amount of time that it takes to incorporate an unincorporated territory is based on what traits are shared between the homelands in that territory and the primary culture. So that means if we can start getting hold of territory in Africa, we can incorporate that territory pretty quickly. And in fact, if we can integrate Liberia, which we might be able to do, in fact, we certainly have options for this. I'm gonna go ahead and can't improve relations because they're already cordial. Or no, I can't improve relations because I don't have the influence. I can stop improving relations with Great Britain. Start doing that. If we can, because we can use Liberia as a basis for further conquests. If we can continue to, if we can start taking territory in Africa, and get switched over to colonization, distant colonization, we can potentially start making states in Africa, and that's going to be hugely beneficial, because we can, if we'll be at cultural exclusion, we'll have Afro-American as an accepted culture, and that'll mean that all the pops living in these areas will be accepted as American citizens, and that will be super duper cool. Alright, the petite bourgeoisie are no longer providing the stuff they were providing before. Let's go ahead and increase... It says each of these is only going to cost 109 per level. I think we can go ahead and put in... Let me see, how are we with paper? We still need to build some more paper mills. I think we can get more levels of law enforcement, and that's going to be really important for ensuring that radicals are high, are low, and turmoil is low in these areas. Carpetbaggers. Northerners in the state of Alabama have been targeted by locals who denounce them as troublemakers and exploiters. Writers and orators in Rhode Island, however, have demanded that the government protect these Northerners. I came here to help build something better after toppling slave power. And sure, I didn't mind making something for myself in the process, but what have I gotten? I'm here empty-handed, with nothing but a litany of slander and threats thrown at my name. Let the people of Alabama do as they will. 20% Dixie Pops become more loyalist. Or we must protect all Americans, even if it angers some. This is going to cause some problems in Rhode Island, but there's not a lot of people in Rhode Island, and I can get another one of my states. So again, we are at 26. Let the people of Alabama do what they will. Shabamzo. And that puts us at 27. 14 more to go. Indian Territory is aloof. That's very good. Again, my goal is to turn Liberia into a protectorate. Into a dominion. I should try to get a protectorate over Benin. That'll be actually a good way to get where I want to go with this. Let's go ahead. Oh boy, North Carolina. I'm going to go ahead and grab the DC ones and turn those into the standardized filing system. That'll get me a little bit extra bureaucracy. And that will let me get one more level of law enforcement. Supremacist violence in North Carolina. Violence between white rioters and black freedmen has caused significant tension in North Carolina. The rioters stomped, kicked, and clubbed others mercilessly. The streets grew slick with the blood of innocent men. Emptied revolvers clattered on the ground as attacks grew too frenzied to bother with reloading anymore. It was only when martial law was declared and troops marched in that even a pretense of order could return. Use the full might of the government to protect freedmen. Dixie Pops become more radical. Or we cannot alienate the local leaders with this use of troops. 10% of Dixie Pops become more loyalist. I'm going to go with the second one. Again, this is North Carolina. Does that get us there for North Carolina? Not yet. We need another event in North Carolina. I'm going to swap us over to loyalists. Again, if I can keep my ticking loyalists from a solid government, everything should be fine, but we got a lot of decreases from standard of living causing a problem here. What is this? Oop. Another event. Law proposal causes uproar in Afro-American communities. Claiming that the enactment of cultural exclusion would affect the country's Afro-American inhabitants in a disproportionately negative way, Afro-American firebrands have riled their communities against the current law proposal. My friend, I don't even know what to say about this. I feel like, well, anyway. I don't know what to say about this. Give them a finger and they'll cry for an arm. Give them an arm and before you know it, they'll weaponize the arm, batter all you to death with it, and pilfer the corpses for even more concessions. So our options are, and their thoughts concern us how? Force the issue through. Minus 5% bureaucracy. 5% of Afro-American pops in Tennessee become radical. Make some token amends. 2% of Afro-American pops in Tennessee become more unequal, or acknowledge and address their concerns. Minus 10% enactment chance. 5% of Afro-American pops become loyalist. I'm going to do the first one. You're going to have equality whether you like it or not. Shabamzo. I am the law, and the law says your people. Alright, what's going on over here in Brazil? We got an aristocratic revolt. Brazil, would you like... Ooh. Can't get a protectorate. You could give us Amazonas, but I don't really want Amazonas. Amazonas would be an exclave. Got a trade agreement. You know what? We'll leave that be for now. We'll leave that be for now. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I might just do it for an obligation. We'll see if anyone else wants to get involved. I don't necessarily want to put a bunch of American troops in Brazil. Well, it won't be that many. You know what? Yeah, we'll do it. Let's be friends, Brazil. Let's be better friends. We'll do it for an obligation. I'm going to send just the regular army and the Army of Florida. I'm going to raise 5 conscript battalions. Not that big of a deal. It's just going to be chill, chill, chill. I think I'm sending more than enough units to support this situation. So I'm not going to worry about it. That's all that's needed. We just need to send a few units. %. France sides with the aristocratic revolt. Ugh, I don't want to fight France. Get out of here, France. Stop it. France, why would you side with the aristocratic revolt? You're some kind of... You're still the Orleanists. Oh, what a pain. Can I bail? I don't want to fight a country with a real military. This sucks. Maybe they just won't. I can bail out of this war if something gnarly happens. But I do need to mobilize the army of observation and actually make sure that France doesn't create a problem. So, opposition members put forth demands. More pragmatically inclined members of the evangelicals, currently opposed to the passing of cultural exclusion, have offered to change their stance were they to be offered significant political concessions. Such concessions would not be popular with the intelligentsia, however. Compromise makes a good umbrella but a poor roof. That is a temporary expedient, often wise in party politics, almost sure to be unwise in statesmanship. Acquiesce to the demands, the bill must pass. This gives us 15% enactment chance. Makes the intelligentsia minus 3% unhappy. Compromise is a tool of the weak, minus 10% enactment chance. Intelligentsia happy. +1. Intelligentsia are currently at +20. Or a prime opportunity to break the bill from deadlock. Plus 15% enactment time. Minus 6%, but 1 entire phase. I'm going to go with the first one. Again, I don't tend to go for an entire phase all at once. Getting a huge block of enactment chance tends to be really, really good. Because now we're higher chance of success than we are of stall. And I'm hoping we can carry the day here. France, don't. Get out of here. No one wants you. Yeah, get out of here. 2 arms. Oh boy, now my trade routes with the French are goofed. Where's the... Okay, Brazil's... The capital of the Brazilian aristocratic revolt is Minas Gerais, so if we can just go there... Yeah, we've got it. Alright, I think this will be fine. Because the aristocratic revolt doesn't have war support protection now. And golly, we are taking a lot of territory really fast. Yeah, I think we can do this. I think we're good. Mexico is kicking off a war against the Ute. I could fight Mexico at the same time. What do y'all think? Mexico does have a real army, but that territory is going to be mine anyway. I'm not a great power right now. I need to stop trying to get into wars like I'm a great power, because I'm not a great power. I know I say I'm at number 6, and that's true that I am at that, but I need to not be so full of myself. They fell back. Ugh, that doesn't make me happy. Afro-American customers not wanted. Some shopkeepers have expressed opposition to the equal treatment of Afro-American people under the Cultural Exclusion law, and announced that they will refuse them service. It's easy for those politicians to draft their plans for equality and brotherhood, but I have a business to run. If I start letting in the Afro-Americans, I'll lose half my customers. They're not bigots, you see, just good Yanks who are used to things being done a certain way around here. We'll keep doing things that way. Such discrimination is unacceptable. Minus 10% enactment success chance. 10% of Yankee shopkeeper pops in the USA become more radical. Or they can do what they wish with their own businesses. Minus 20% enactment chance. 5% of Afro-American pops become more radical. I'm going to do the first one. I'm going to lose 10% enactment chance there. I'm pretty salty about that. But it's all right. We've had some good events. We've still got 28%. It's our 4th check here, so I think we can do this. Things in Brazil are going just fine. I also come to think of it, I don't want necessarily a truce with Mexico at this point, because I am going to go after them and try to eat a bunch of their territory. So, now that I think on it, I actually do want to keep this situation where it is. It looks like we are... Okay. The force comparisons are looking less good now. But, in fact, force comparisons are very bad. But the enemy is losing more support a lot faster than we are. Investment agreement. No thank you, Great Britain. I don't necessarily want an investment agreement with you at this time. I'm going to put these armies on defense for now, because I'm actually... Liberia wants their own market. Liberia? Why would you want your own market? We're entangled. No. Stupid Liberia. I want to make you a puppet. Dangle you on a string. Oh, we're losing a lot of convoys. Where are we losing convoys? Over here. We'll go after the French fleet there. Might be a mistake. Who knows? We'll find out, I suppose. Crooked connections. Frustrated with the lengthy legal process surrounding cultural exclusion, Henry Clay of the Intelligentsia has approached us with an offer to expedite the process, utilizing his personal connections within the state apparatus. A few words in the right ears is all I'm asking for, everything within the bounds of the law, of course, although I cannot guarantee our opponents in this matter will view such action with much glee. Grant his permission, time is of the essence. Evangelicals, salty. -2. They are giving us company throughput bonus. That's very good. Or no, we do this by the book after all, plus 10%. I'm actually going to go with the first one. I almost never do this, but I want to get this going fast because I want to get there, and I want to get there as fast as I can so that I can continue with Reconstruction, because I seem to be losing states out of my required number of loyalists pot, and I'm not happy about that. Ooh, there's gold in South Dakota. There's gold in them there hills. Lovely. Can I have it? It's only gold fields. We'll continue to... we're colonizing this area, right? Yes, we are. It's going slow. It's going slow, but we are getting there. Whew. Good thing we got so many convoys here, because things are getting a little rough. We're nearly done with our paper mills. So we're going to have to go on to other stuff. We are short on bureaucracy. So let's go ahead and flip New York over to standardized filing system to get us some extra bureaucracy. Institutions are still increasing, so that is excellent. A good vintage. The wine produced in Ohio has been lauded by sommeliers as outstanding. If you've had Ohio wine, you will know that the sommeliers are making it up. When people say that something ages like wine, they don't always make the distinction between wine and wine. So let me make that distinction. If you can get your hands on a bottle from Ohio, that bottle can be more than just a good time. It can be an investment. Make this an exclusive product for export or increase production to meet booming demands. Wine in our market. How is it? It's dirt cheap. Make it for export. Alright. With that having been done, that is definitely all the time we've got for this episode. We're at 40 minutes. But we've gotten a lot done. We're slowly bashing away at cultural exclusion. I can go for another 6 days. Come on, give me a success. Oh, New York Naval Yard Fleet was defeated. Sadness. Law debate failed. Stop it. Damnable petite bourgeoisie. Anyway, we'll get there one day. For now, though, that is all we've got. I've had fun. I hope you all have had fun. And I'll see you on the other side.